Wasserman Schultz. She's the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Congresswoman, thanks very much for joining us. Let's talk about that debate a little bit last night. First of all, I assume you watched all of it, right?
I did. Every last painful bit of it.
All right, good. So the Republican candidates, they kept mentioning Hillary Clinton almost every time they mentioned President Obama. They assume she's going to be the Democratic presidential nominee. As you know, the president has taken a lot of heat over his strategy to fight ISIS. Do you know where Hillary Clinton would differ with the president's current strategy?
You know, Wolf, what I was struck by last night was in thinking that if I had been watching and listening to this debate with my eyes closed, you would not have known that these were candidates for the presidency of the United States of America. It was more like a debate about the presidency of some authoritarian regime, because each and every one of these candidates has taken Donald Trump's playbook and tried to make off with it and do everything they can to emulate and worship his agenda and his proposals and make sure that they can earn the support of his supporters, anticipating, probably incorrectly, that eventually he is going to nosedive. And, as you know, Wolf, as the chair of the Democratic National Committee, I am neutral in the primaries. So when it comes to our candidates, all three of them, any one of them would make sure that we continued to focus on defeating ISIL, on building the coalition of nation partners that President Obama has successfully put together, more than 60 nations now in that coalition, engaged in the airstrikes that we are engaging in and the special operations forces that are on the ground. By the way, none of the Republican candidates proposed anything different last night.
Where does Hillary Clinton differ with the president's strategy as you just outlined it?
As I said, I'm the chair of the DNC, so it's not for me to be outlining one of our candidates' positions. All three of our candidates, like all of the Republican candidates last night, by the way, none of whom articulated any difference in the way they would prosecute defeating ISIL. That they all talked, or many of them talked, about building a coalition and making sure, and none of them, mind you, said, we're going to send out ground troops and do things really any differently than Barack Obama. They did say, though.
I don't want to get into a whole issue of that, but several of them, for example, do support a no-fly zone over Syria. The president opposes a no-fly zone. You heard Lindsey Graham, the Republican candidate, say he wants 10,000 U.S. troops in Syria, 10,000 in Iraq. The president clearly opposes that, but we don't have to go through that.
We're talking about the
only question
now
I was trying to get a sense is that when the Republicans attack Hillary Clinton, who's the front runner for the Democratic nomination, and say, you like the president's strategy on ISIS, vote for Hillary Clinton because you're going to get more of that. Are they right or wrong?
Well, because all of them, virtually last night, no one carved out really a significant difference from the president's proposals and policies on how he is prosecuting defeating ISIL. I would say that all of the candidates line up pretty similarly. But the bottom line is where our candidates differ is in not suggesting that we ban all Muslims from entering the country like Donald Trump has said, and all of the Republican candidates still have pledged to support him if he's the nominee. Ben Carson, for example, doesn't seem to realize that where ISIL actually is, where the capital is, that they're not out in the desert on an island somewhere, alone, ready to be carpet bombed. Ted Cruz, the same thing. So, you listen to all of those Republican candidates, and they double down on extremism, on un-American policies that would take us back to the McCarthy era. And our candidates, when they debate on Saturday night, will talk about national security, economic security, and making sure we can continue to move our country forward and sustain American values in the process.
I don't know if you heard my